Put on your green jumpsuits, Squid Game is back, which means it's time to learn a new slate of deadly games, as Season 2 refreshes the tried-and-true Battle Royale formula. Here's a rundown of all the new games in the follow-up to Netflix's smash hit. The first new game introduced in Squid Game Season 2 is a tweaked version of Rock, Paper, Scissors, unique to Korea. After watching the mysterious recruiter play cruel mind games with several unhoused people, Gi-hun's hired associates get themselves captured by the sadistic salesman. They awaken in a dark room, where they are bound together, held at gunpoint, and forced to play this new game, called Rock, Paper, Scissors -1. This variant requires players to use both hands for each play. Instead of throwing out only one choice each round, each player throws out two, then removes one from play after seeing their opponent's hands. It adds an additional layer of psychological gameplay to the original recipe contest, which makes it even more fitting for Squid Game. The threat of death in Rock, Paper, Scissors -1 comes from an additional game of Russian roulette being played on the sidelines by the recruiter. Russian roulette involves 2 or more people loading a standard 6-shooter revolver with only a certain number of bullets, thus leaving blank spaces in the cylinder that will not react when the gun is fired. Each player then takes turns firing the gun, gambling with their own life. Not much is known about how Russian roulette came to be, but as seen in Squid Game, it's a very adaptable game, the dynamics of which can be altered dramatically by a number of factors. When the recruiter first begins the game, he spins the cylinder for each round, meaning each pull of the trigger carries the same 1 in 6 chance of ending a life. When he later plays the game with Gi-hun, however, he does not move the cylinder after the initial spin, which means the likelihood of death increases each time the trigger is pulled. Their contest ultimately results in one of Season 2's biggest, most jaw-dropping deaths.
Let's reverse the odds. Sound good?
The third variation, in which the cylinder is filled with 5 bullets, is less common and is definitely more despicable. If there's one game in Squid Game Season 2 that most viewers feel confident they could beat, it's Flying Stone, the second game in the 6-legged race. It simply consists of a player throwing a stone at another standing stone, which eerily looks a lot like a headstone in a graveyard. If they knock the stone down, they succeed and are allowed to move forward in the race. If not, they must make their way back to the stone, retrieve their wayward projectile, and start again. Stone throwing as a means of recreation is obviously not specific to Korea, and has been around since at least the days of ancient Greece. The third game in Squid Game Season 2's 6-legged race is Gonggi, a tricky test of skill. Played with 5 colorful stone pieces, the game tests your hand-eye coordination by having you throw one stone up in the air while trying to collect others from the playing surface. You begin by throwing all 5 stones in front of you like dice. Then, as Squid Game Season 2 explains, you simply toss and grab each stone consecutively. But it's not that simple. You then throw all 5 stones in the air and attempt to catch them with the back of your hand. And finally, you launch them from the back of your hand and catch all 5 one last time. As involved as it sounds, Squid Game makes it look a lot easier than Flying Stone, or the dizzyingly difficult game that follows it.
If you give up now, I'll kill you before any of your damn gods can.
After the players complete Gonggi, the 6-legged race progresses to the spinning top. The rules are seemingly very simple here. A player must wrap a length of cord around a top, launch it from the palm of their hand, and successfully get it to spin once it lands on the ground. Think of the Japanese spinning toy Beyblade, but much more difficult, and in the world of Squid Game, definitely more deadly. It also bears a similarity to the Korean game Pangi Chigi, which also involves launching spinning tops with lines of cord. In that game, however, the player is also required to prolong the top spin as much as possible with a wooden stick. The final contest of the 6-legged race is Jegi, which American viewers will likely recognize for its similarities to the game Hacky Sack. Like that game, Jegi consists of a player hitting an object with their foot as many times as possible. In this case, it's the namesake Jegi, which looks like a small paper-wrapped disc adorned with ribbons, similar to a badminton shuttlecock. The origins of Jegi are not exactly known, with even its cultural genesis being up for debate. Some attribute it to Korea, others to China. Today, it is largely played at festivals during Korean holidays, including an Autumn Harvest Festival and the Korean New Year. arguably the best new game of Squid Game Season 2. Mingle is just as diabolical as it is fun to watch. The third official game of this new slate after the six-legged race. It takes place in a large rotating room with a carousel at its center. As the room rotates, a song plays for a random amount of time. Once the room and the song stop at the same time, a number is called. Players must then get in groups of that number and find safety behind one of the room's locking doors, or be eliminated. Mingle is a popular game across the world that is often used as an icebreaker in environments like college dorms or new office buildings. Sometimes, once a group of a certain number is formed, players will be prompted to exchange facts about themselves.
Don't call me dude, we're not friends, got it?
Hopefully, when you bust out Mingle or any one of the games from Squid Game Season 2 at your next party, things don't get quite as intense.